The Ecuadorian cloud forests are sort of hard to describe unless you've been there. It feels tropical and exotic, yet set at over 10,000 feet in elevation, I never saw a temperature higher than 72, and with a volcano set as a backdrop, to me, it's perfection. The mission today is to see birds that live high up in the canopy of this cloud forest, which can be tough to see from the ground. But fortunately today, we have a little bit of a hack up our sleeves. The Rio Silanche Bird Sanctuary is our starting point, where they've got a great lookout tower that you can climb to the top of, which should give us a better look at some of these birds hiding in the canopy. The top of the lookout tower provided great looks into the canopy, but the bad morning light and overcast skies was not providing me any good video clips. I decided to turn my focus back onto stills, and I'm glad that I did, because I made two of my favorite images of the trip of this black-faced Dacnus lurking back in the shadows. I was thrilled when this blue-tailed trogon landed close to us on top of the platform and cooperated long enough for us all to get a good look. Back down on the ground, there was still plenty to see at Rio Solan. In fact, our surprise of the day was right around the corner from the parking lot. Perched not too far away from us up in this tree was this small raptor, or maybe I should say this tiny raptor. This tiny hawk was scanning the horizon looking for its next meal, and it's not a surprise that they do so well here in Ecuador, considering their primary meal are hummingbirds. One Ecuadorian birding lesson that I learned pretty quick was with these yellow-throated toucans. If they're in your area, oh trust me, you'll hear about it. Yeah, we see you. But honestly, I love these guys. It's a beautiful bird. And anyone who follows the channel knows that the Ani always has a special place with us, and I was able to see the smooth-billed variant here. We watched this social flycatcher go back and forth between its nest and the power line, but then we're quickly reminded that this road wasn't just for touristy birders. There was actually work going on here.
Hey.
After the cows passed by, we weren't far behind them on our way back to the parking lot, but on the way, we saw another really cool raptor. This striking pair of falcons were bat falcons. I loved the black hood, and the orange around their legs is often described as having rusty pants, and as the name suggests, these guys are hunters of the night, primarily feeding on bats. For our afternoon session, we made our way to the lower foothills at just under 2,000 feet to the Sendero Frutti Tour. And it was feeders galore, both hummingbird and fruit feeders, which we were hoping were going to bring in some new foothill species for us. And I can easily tell you that of all of the feeders that I visited on this trip, this one was the best setup for photography. Just look at that background. Every bird you photograph here looks like $1 million. Our first new hummingbird species of the day was this black-throated mango, until he got bullied out of there. We got another new species on the trip when a flock of maroon-tailed parakeet flew over. 3 of them decided to land in a tree and investigate the fruit feeders. Meanwhile, the action is still furious at the hummingbird feeders, where this group of rufous-tailed hummingbirds appeared to be feeding almost in sync. And yet another new hummingbird species observes all of the chaos from this branch. This was a green thorntail. Our attention quickly went back over to the banana feeder because we all saw someone that looked a little bit familiar. And sure enough, far away from home was this Baltimore oriole. Out of the forest appeared this agouti, which was completely fascinating to me. It scavenged around the fruit feeders and eventually found this banana. And I vowed that if I could have caught it, I would have brought it home as a pet. One of the rarer hummingbirds for the area that we had been staking out and had seen sporadically finally showed back up for a second. I was able to see this bronzy hermit. Look at that curved bill as it flies away. Our guide called out an alert for an important bird that we had to see, and I looked over and saw this red woodpecker, which is known as the scarlet-backed woodpecker. And the reason why this woodpecker is so special is because it's an Ecuadorian local. In fact, it can only be found in the western part of the country and then down into the very northern part of Peru. It was very cool to see. But our woodpecker adventures are not over quite yet. Enter this lineated woodpecker that jumps up on the fruit feeder to get some banana. Soon after, another woodpecker, a little bit larger, jumps up on the fruit feeder too. Our guide explained to us that the larger woodpecker that had just jumped up wasn't a competing woodpecker, it was actually a chick, and the smaller woodpecker on the right was the mom. And despite being full size and literally sitting on a stack of food, the chick begged mom to be fed. And the mom obliged by conjuring up some leftover banana and regurgitated it out into the chick's mouth. As we wrapped up our afternoon session, I went into stills-only mode and was able to get a few new species on the trip before we left, and we did have one last raptor encounter on the way out. We saw this laughing falcon off in the distance. It was a great way to end the day. Coming up in part 4, I walk across a river, but it pays off because I end up seeing 2 of Ecuador's most unique species.